Do you think that more guys talk shit about you or more girls?
Girls, 1000%.
Really?
For me, in my experience.
I don't know, because I feel like we find out more about girls talking shit, but sometimes, and I would say especially like with the internet, like I see a lot of hate coming from men, and then I wonder like,
yeah,
is it maybe more guys, but you just don't know, because I feel like men tend to gossip less amongst each other, so like the word doesn't cross over.
I think online, like men who are really insecure and stuff will talk shit, because it's better to hate on someone you could never get than to love someone that will reject you.
Yeah.
I think online it would be more men for sure. But I think in people I meet, it's definitely more women than men. Because
Chemical X.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Chemical X podcast. It's your girl, Veronica.
and your other girl, Alessia.
And as usual, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, and leave us 5 stars on all audio platforms.
Wow, we're really smooth at that now.
I'm out of energy today, actually, so I'm surprised that I'm being smooth with it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm super tired.
That's why when you're tired, you're just numb. I don't want to bring up numbness, but it's just, you're very...
Well, I think it's just like I need to chill sometimes, you know? I think sometimes it's better if I'm chill.
I think this is the one episode we didn't need you out of energy for, considering it's about gossip, drama.
Because I think with anyone, you know, we're not immune to having people talking shit about us. I actually think that we are the opposite of immune. We're more so a target for it.
Which is the weird thing already. It's like we come on here and we tell you what's going on in our lives, and we couldn't be more authentic, honestly.
Well, we tell you the gossip straight from source.
That's the problem. It's like we're telling you the gossip. How can you have more gossip on top of the gossip?
How can you add on to the story? We're already saying and exaggerating. How can you exaggerate it more?
I don't know. I literally want to ask you that.
And that's what kills me, is like sometimes I hear things and I'm like, but I literally spoke about this on my podcast. So if you want the tea, just go listen. It's all right there, ready for picking.
It's literally...
Where did this version of the story come from?
I know.
So it's really funny, and I thought we should dive right into that. And guys, you know, I know we have a wide range of viewers. Some of you guys are in high school, some of you guys are in college, some of you guys are a little older. And I think throughout the course of your life, you go through like different phases of drama.
Yeah.
And I feel like at the point that I'm at now, it's like you're kind of like surpassed that like high school, college drama. But somehow there's always going to still be those people that are still into that like gossip. And it's always the people that used to know you, that you used to be close with.
It's two things. It's either the people who have no idea who you are, so they just have their own like perception of who you are. So even if they listen to you, which is where we give all the tea, they create their own formula.
Right.
Or it's people you grew up with. It's people you grew up with who saw you a certain way and then can't just digest the new you, or the person they grew up with who thought they were like and now has changed or just not as close to anymore, and saw their life going a certain way and yours is just not following that path. So it feels weird to them. It feels like you can feel envious of them. I think it's bitterness, it's confusion. I think it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things.
Well, do you want to start off by telling, you know, the audience some of the things you've been hearing about yourself recently?
Well, it's weird because the reason we're even talking about this is because when I went out with a couple of friends the other day. Someone came up to me and was like, and this is somebody I know, but I'm not like super, super close with, but knows me enough to like my vibe and is just like a nice person, honestly.
Right.
They came up to me and they said, "Oh my God, I don't understand why anyone talks shit about you. Like, you're so fun and nice. Like, I don't understand why people talk shit. And when they do, like, I always protect you. Like, I always have your back." And it's like, I don't know if I'm living in La La Land, if I'm just naive or numb or I don't care. Because I think it's a little bit of everything that I've really not taken any of that and really digested it or like really thought too much into it. But I think it's gotten to a point now where it's like the amount of people who come up with that line, like that exact line of just like, whenever people talk shit about you, like, I always have your back, or like I always say like, no, that's not true, which confuses me. Why do you want to come up to me and say that you are protecting me? You know, like there's like two feelings. Like I have I don't know. Like I think about it and I'm like, okay, but why do you want me to know that you protected me when you could just come to me and like we could just be chill? You don't tell me. I don't care. What I don't know doesn't hurt me. We're not at the state where it's like you're my close friend that you have to tell me, or like I think this information is something you should know because you're around this person, so it might, you know, affect, I don't know, like how you feel about them, or maybe what you're sharing with them. Like it doesn't change anything in my life. So why do I need to know that these people are talking shit about me? In the same beat, I'm like, hey, nice to know, but also like, why do I need to know this?
So since this week we're talking about gossip, I picked out some items on the Every Jewels website to, you know, reiterate the vibes of this episode. So number 1 is this tote bag.
I hate it here.
I hate it here.
Okay.
Can't live your life without anyone just, you know, telling you you're doing something wrong.
You're doing something right if people are talking shit about you.
100%. The next item I picked out is this one that says ABCDE fuck off.
Okay.
So I think also this is a great one for the haters.
Absolutely.
You know?
Haters are our
haters
motivators. Since you guys love gossiping so much, we're going to make this so easy for you. Head on to Every Jewels and tell all your friends, tell everyone you know about the discount code we have, which is 20% off using discount code ChemicalX at checkout to receive 20% off anything on Every Jewels. So if you want jewelry, if you want to tell someone to fuck off politely, if you want socks, tote bags, whatever it is, head on to everyjewels.com.
And guys, don't forget, gut feelings are guardian angels. So just keep trusting your gut, okay? And use Chemical X at checkout. I think it's like hard to say because everyone's intentions could be different, you know? Sometimes like people tell you and you're like, okay, like thanks for having my back. But at the same time, why did you tell me? Like,
yeah,
I low-key don't really like when people tell me what people are saying behind my back. Cause I'm like, there's a reason I don't know. There's a reason I don't want to know. And obviously if it's behind my back, the chances of it being true are probably slim to none.
Yeah.
So like, I don't care anyways. It's just going to put me in a negative vibe. And we were talking about this before and I was saying how like, people, even when doing something nice, people tend to do things for selfish reasons. So for example, like there's like this whole thing saying like, even when you're, for example, giving money to the homeless, it's never a selfless act because you're doing it to feel better about yourself in a way. You're giving back to feel like I'm a better person. And it's not to say don't help people out. It's just to say there's always like, at the end of the day, with everything you do, there's always a little bit of selfishness.
Yeah.
Right? So the idea of somebody coming to you and being like, oh, well, I stood up for you and I had your back. I feel like sometimes in a way it could be like, well, like I did this good thing for you. So like I should feel good about myself because I did this good thing for you. And I want you to know that I did this good thing for you. And obviously it's not always that
or
deep.
You're just trying to be liked by the person you're telling.
Right.
It's like one of the two.
But like, I don't find it bad to say it. But a lot of the times when people tell me that and they'll be like, oh, this person said this about you and like whatever. It's just like, number one, why did they feel comfortable talking shit about me to you?
Oh, I was telling you that before. Whenever someone feels comfortable enough to be able to talk shit, it's because you've allowed that energy and you've allowed that to happen.
Right.
Most of the time.
But I think that counts
sometimes
more with close friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when it's a close friend, it's like sus. When it's like an outside friend, it's like, well, they obviously, there's like no loyalty there for them to not talk shit about me to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So basically I was like, okay, well, like what was, and you know what, because it's been so many people that are like, I defend you, sometimes I just go, oh haha, and I just brush it off. And then that day I was just like, well, like what were they saying? Like, I'm just curious. They were like, oh well, you know, it doesn't matter, like don't worry. But I'm like, that's like saying I have a secret I can't tell you. And then like you're just both sitting there and it's like, okay, well then why would you bring it up if you're not going to tell me what the secret is? It's like you mentioned it. So clearly now, obviously you got my attention. I want to know. Right. So tell me, don't play this game back and forth if you decided to bring it up. Like, I'm sorry. Like, no. And basically the person was saying, you know, they were just saying like how, you know, you're an escort and like you wear fakes and you're just like a mean person, like all this shit. And I was just like, and I was like, if you don't mind me asking, like, who said this? And that person was like, oh, like, you don't even know who they are. And like, you don't know who it is. And I was just like, okay, but who? And then after a while, the person was just like you actually don't know who they were. If they were literally in this room right now, they would never even have the balls to come up to you, or like even like they would never say anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, obviously, like no one, normally the people who talk shit will not come up to you, you know?
Well, the reality is like the people who talk shit like are always people who are, especially like in that sense where they're not even people who actually fucking know you. They're so irrelevant, and it's people who would literally be shaking in their boots if they were ever in the same room as
but
you.
I think that's why they talk shit.
Yeah.
Because they don't know you. And the unknown of not knowing certain parts of someone's life, or like, for example, like how they got that bag, how they did that trip. It's the idea that they don't know fully what's going on, that they need to like shit talk because they can't understand it almost. I think it could be also sometimes.
Yeah, but I also think it's like, why do people jump all the time to the negative? It's like, oh, you have a Chanel, must be fake. Like, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you have a Chanel, it must be fake, or like you couldn't afford that yourself. Like somebody had to buy that for you.
Right.
It's like, okay, yeah, I do love when someone can you buy me something or something, but like I bought myself designer pieces, like, and I'm literally the number one person who will be like, if you can't afford something, like don't buy it, go to Zara, like don't try and like buy a fake and like wear something to like try and prove and fit in society, when you could literally just have like a classy piece, cheaper, affordable, and no one's gonna know if it's expensive or not. So I think that was just like, wait, what? Me of all people? And like, especially me who like, I will literally save up for that item. Like I just thought it was like, wait, what? Like now you're saying I wear fakes? Like, okay. Like if that's what makes you sleep better at night because you don't have that item, or you like, I don't know what it is.
Do you think that more guys talk shit about you or more girls?
Girls, 1000%.
Really?
100%. For me,
tough.
in my experience.
I don't know, because I feel like we find out more about girls talking shit, but sometimes, and I would say especially like with the internet, like I see a lot of hate coming from men, and then I wonder like, is it maybe more guys, but you just don't know? Because I feel like men tend to gossip less amongst each other, so like the word doesn't cross over.
I think online, like men who are really insecure and stuff will talk shit, because it's better to hate on someone you could never get than to love someone that will reject you.
Yeah.
I think online it would be more men for sure. But I think in people I meet, it's definitely more women than men. Because a guy who came up to me and said, like, I was told to not like be near you and not hang around with you. And this was a source that was coming from a girl. And it had nothing to do with like ex-boyfriend or any maliciousness of like any shadiness. It was just like straight up like jealousy, like don't be with these girls kind of thing, which I think is so weird. You know, I could be really understanding to the people who I grew up with in high school, because I could kind of understand a little bit, like we were all in the same place at a point. You took a different path, and like you can't see how like I didn't decide to marry my high school sweetheart. I didn't decide to just like buy a house, live a normal life. Like I did things that were a little bit more like, ooh, taboo. Like I traveled, and maybe that's something you always wanted to do and you didn't do, or you didn't take the, I don't know, you didn't take the leap to be single and figure out who you were because you played it safe, or, you know, like all these things. So you're like maybe a little bit envious, a little bit jealous, and also just like still hanging around with your friends in high school, which is totally fine. It's amazing that you kept like such great connections with people you went to high school with. But also, is it because you guys all followed down the same path? The reason you guys stayed friends, you stayed in your comfort zone. So seeing me do things that aren't, I guess, part of your path, weird, like it's like an unknown to you. So you just rather talk shit because I'm not you?
Well, I think that's like the majority of why people hate on people is because they don't understand it or they can't do it themselves. So it's like people see you doing something that they can't do, they haven't done. And instead of just accepting it and be like, oh, that's really cool that you've done that, they feel like in some way it like takes away from their personal experience as a human, and they have to like shit on you and be like, oh, well, for sure, like guys are paying for this, or for sure like this, or just try to like downplay everything that you do because they can't do what you're doing. And I think that's the majority. We've spoken in the past about like why people hate on things, and that's one of the main reasons is just like they can't do what you're doing, you know?
And I also think like social media shows 1% of someone's life, and like nobody goes on social media and posts shit things that are happening. Like realistically, when you go on social media, you're always going to see the best parts of someone. It's just what it is. So yeah, if you look through my Instagram, life looks great. Like it's 1% of my fucking 99 other percent, you know? So when you don't know someone, you don't have that relatability, because you don't know the shit that like my friends actually know about me and understand me, because they know who I fully am. Right. You're just seeing like this persona. Yeah. So it's easier to hate somebody you don't really fully know or can relate to.
Yeah. And that's true too. Like online, it's so much easier to hate somebody that you don't know because it never feels personal. And I think that's a lot of the reason why people like spread hate online too and like comment hateful shit, because they just feel like, oh, you're never going to see it, or like you're not in a way as real of a person as you would be. Like, you know, let's say 90% of the people that talk shit under videos would never come up to that person face to face and say it to them. They would never say that. They probably wouldn't even think it if they were in front of that person. But it's the fact that they're hiding behind a screen. You're less of a real person to them because you're just some online person that doesn't really exist to them. And they don't actually value the fact that you're a real human. So they have no problem hating. And it's the same way in how people like view your life. You know, they see it and they judge it based off what's being shown, which is fair and it's fine. And like, I can't even like blame people for doing that, because I'm sure that I do the same, right? Like we just make assumptions based off of the information that's given to us. Yeah. But I think it's just important to remember that you don't know everything that's going on in someone's life. And like, you know, a lot of times people will tell me things too. And it's just like, how did you come to that conclusion? You know, like based off of what did you decide that that was true about me? You know? And I think for me, it just separates the people that like I would actually that are like meaningful people to me and the people that are not. Like if you come to me and come with this judgment, even if you don't really know me, but you're willing to listen to what everyone says about me, then you're just not somebody that I want to have around me or in my corner. And I would never think of actually becoming friends with you. Yeah. You know, I think I really value the people that get told things about certain people, or let's say about me, and then still choose to figure out for themselves, right? Because I just think that that's the genuine way to do things. You know, if we judged everyone based off what we heard online or what we saw or what we perceive them as, like you're never gonna meet real people and real good people, because you could talk shit about anyone. Like I could find a million things to talk shit about every single person that I know, and because realistically no one's perfect.
Yeah, and the thing is you have to remember, whenever you're hearing information from a source, it's always going to be clouded through their lens. So the experiences they had.
I just can't stop thinking about how I just said I could think about a million things to talk shit about everyone I know. Everyone I know is going, what the fuck? What are you? Wait, everyone I know is saying, wait, what? As I said, I've just been thinking about like, well, I really took everyone down with me. I could think about a million things to talk shit about everyone I know. Anyways, go on. Okay. Well, now that I hate everyone around me, continue.
Now that you talk shit about everybody, let's continue.
Now that I'm the gossiper.
Yeah, so what I was gonna say is, you have a friend, Kay, who hates on this girl because she might have dated one of your exes. So it's like, in the friend group, she's X'd out, okay? Because the lens was kind of foggy for that person and their experiences are kind of spun into their opinion and why they don't like someone, automatically, you know, you kind of
go in there with judgments.
You go in there with preconceived, you know, judgments because of what you heard. But it's like everyone's opinion, everyone's life is different. So I think you have to take everything with a grain of salt, because to one person, they might be a certain way because of what happened to them and their experiences. But to you, they didn't do anything to you. It's completely different. And that's why a lot of the times when girls actually meet, or like they're kind of put together, it's like, oh my God, like she's such a babe. Like we really connect. And I think most of the time, like girls relate to way more things than they don't. And it's more just the idea of like not having been together or connected. Yeah. Because I think realistically, we have a lot more things in common, all of us, than we don't, and that we can relate to. So it normally happens when there's like, when you haven't had that conversation, when you aren't friends, when there's like just misinformation, just the unknown.
I think when it comes to women, like we're really often like pinned against each other, and like we have this, I guess, sense of competition against one another. And I feel like that's kind of the root of why a lot of girls will put down other girls or hate on girls or whatever, especially when they tend to be prettier, dress better than them, you know, kind of threaten that person in any way and makes them feel a little insecure, I feel like people tend to resort to hating that person, which is why I feel like it's really often that, you know, the pretty girls are always hated and they're seen as like these like bitchy girls or whatever, because a lot of the time that idea comes from insecurity. It comes from people who are threatened by that person. And yeah, sure, look, I'm not saying because you're pretty, you're the nicest person in the world. There's a lot of pretty people that are shitty people, just like there's a lot of average people that are shitty people. But I think as like a pretty girl, people will tend to naturally associate that you might be more bitchy or that you might be more of a certain way. And I feel like women tend to have a little bit more of a harsh view on you. And I think like I really saw that, for example, with my sister growing up. I feel like she always had like a really hard time making girlfriends because people would always like talk shit about her and people would always say these things about her that like I knew as her sister weren't true. And I didn't even get why people were coming up with these things. And I think the reality is it was just like she was this pretty girl and she was like confident about it too. And people didn't like that. And specifically girls didn't like that. You know, they didn't like that she was getting attention. So they chose instead to kind of talk shit about her, bring her down. And make her seem a way that she wasn't. And like, I think that's my first experience watching that happen, like outside of myself, you know, and like really seeing it on like a bird's eye view, I guess, way of just seeing something that I personally know how they are and then seeing how other people act with them and how they are. And it's just like, wow, like this is really coming from an insecure place. And that's why I think a lot of the time, as hard as it is, when you hear someone talking shit about you or the stuff that they're saying, even though it's hard to dissociate. Yeah, it's hard to dissociate that. And it's so easy to take it personally because, well, it is personal. Like, let's be real, it's fucking personal. But like, you really have to look and be like, what is it that this person is lacking that they feel the need to attack this about me? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, look, we're not all perfect. There's going to be some days, maybe I'm going to be a fucking bitch. And maybe you met me on a day that I was a bitch and I was in a bad mood. And does that make me a bitch? No, it doesn't. Right? Yeah. But like, if you're telling me that I'm a bitch, suddenly I'm going to start thinking about that about myself. And, you know, but like, you really have to think about that person, you know, who's saying this about you? Why are they saying this about you? Is it coming from a place of insecurity? Is it coming from a place of jealousy? Is it coming from a place of envy? Is it coming from a place of just like they genuinely don't like you? Or like you said, maybe there's some kind of other connection within the group as to why they preconceived don't like me, you know, like there's always the people in the group that like we don't like them for like no reason. Like there's just like no reason why we don't like this person, but it's like a team group as like everyone decided we don't like this person.
And I think for me, I struggled a lot because I'm not really somebody who acts that way, that whenever I would like talk to my friends or like talk to anyone about like why are they acting this way, this and this, they're like, Alessia, well, it's because they're jealous. And my first reaction to that, and like you can literally ask anyone I know, would be like, no, it's not jealousy. It's got to be something else, because I don't associate that with something, because I don't think like that. So I automatically give people the benefit of the doubt. And I'm like, well, no, it's not jealousy. What else could it be? Like I would always be like, okay, if it's not jealousy, though, what is it? Because I don't think it's jealousy. Yeah. I don't think there should be any reason to be jealous. So but it's like, it's weird.
You don't realize even everyone does this. Like even I myself will do this. So for example, it's like, think of anything like, let's say like Kylie, okay? Like we're looking at Kylie. Kylie is stunning. There's no doubting that Kylie is stunning, okay? She'll post a not flattering picture. What's the first thing we're all going to talk about? Wow, she really doesn't look good in this picture. Is Kylie ugly? No. Do we have any right to be saying that Kylie doesn't look good in this picture because maybe it's not our best picture? No. Does it come from a place probably that we know we're both never going to look like Kylie? Maybe. Do you get what I'm saying? Like when you dissect even your own thoughts, you realize that even though it's not like, oh, I'm so fucking jealous of Kylie. And by the way, I'm not saying that you're never going to look like Kylie. Just in the point of the story, it's like, we know that we're never going to be Kylie in a way. So it's like, we're able to sit here and judge her and scrutinize her. And without realizing that in a small way, it's coming out of a place that we can't be her. Right? Because or else we wouldn't be sitting here saying like, oh, she doesn't look good, or I don't like the filler that she did, and I don't like this outfit that she did. Right. Because if we could be her, we wouldn't be sitting here judging her. Right. So it's like although we might think like, oh, you have nothing to be jealous of, sometimes people don't even realize that it's coming out of jealousy. Because I can sit here and say I'm not jealous of Kylie, but like in those little moments you catch yourself, and if you really think about the root of your thought and think, maybe this does root in, I guess, envy in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, like I would never took that color of car. Well, bitch, you can't even afford a Rolls Royce. So you know what I mean? Like, it's like everyone does it, even though we wouldn't consider ourselves jealous people. We wouldn't consider ourselves envious people. We don't even realize that it's just like mini subconscious tendencies that you do. So I think the same way that we'll do that for somebody else, with like a celebrity or something, people probably do that to you. And I know for you, you're like, oh, like jealous of what, or like whatever.
But that's
like
how
it doesn't.
See it. I'm like, you don't even know what I'm going through. Just like I don't know what you're going
100%.
through. Like for me, it's like there's nothing to be jealous about. Why are you jealous? Can't be that.
It's the same mentality of us scrutinizing somebody that, like Kylie. You get it? Like people just look at you and they feel like they're entitled to judging your life. They feel like they know your life because we choose to put our lives out there, especially. And they feel like they have more entitlement to be able to have a say on our lives and to say who we are, how we are, and judge us. And I think even though maybe even those people wouldn't admit it, even though I wouldn't sit here and say, oh yeah, I'm judging Kylie's outfit because I'm jealous, it's not like a direct, you know, delivery to sender or whatever. But it's like deep down, if you really dissect the thought, it does come out of jealousy. And I think that's what it is. I think people look at you and they think, I can't do what you're doing. I can't be how you're being. I can't look the way you look. I can't dress the way you dress, or for whatever reason it may be. And instead of being like, oh, that's cool that she can live her life, they project their own feelings onto you.
Yeah. And then like the escort thing, I'm like, wait,
that kills me.
So like I'm an escort.
Baby, I'm fucking for free.
But I'm like, what? Like, what? Why would you call me an escort? You have literally no idea. You know, you don't know shit. Like, you literally don't know shit. And like, if being an escort is like talking to a guy and being interested and like being offered a trip to go and meet someone, just like you would go meet someone over coffee, and I'm doing it on a trip, like I don't want to say it. It's like, do you think about this? If you had the opportunity and you were into a guy and they would fly you out, do you think if you were in that situation, you would say no? There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. And then when I break it down like that, I'm like, oh, it's just because you haven't been offered that, or you don't have the guts to do it, that you're just like envious and jealous.
Right.
Because it's like I had this girl growing up that was always jealous of me. Like, oh my God, Alessia does this, she does this, she does this. And then right away she got the opportunity to do it and she did it. And then all of a sudden, like someone confronted her. They're like, well, you spoke all this shit about Alessia. Now you're
doing the same thing.
You're doing the same thing. You're going on this trip. Like, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Why isn't it the same though? Like, I don't care that you're going on it. And I think because I live more of a life where like I speak about it, I'm like free in my mind about it. You got like, people just can't do it, or they don't want to do it, or I don't know. It's so complex. Like it can be a million things, but it's just like, it makes me, I don't know.
I think it just sometimes, I mean, for the most part, I never think about what people are saying to me.
No,
and
I don't.
I actually don't experience as much the same way of like people coming up to me and being like, oh, I defended you, blah, blah. But every once in a while, like it'll be brought to my attention. So that being said, like for some reason I live in this like la la land that like no one talks shit about me.
The thing is,
because it's like not brought to my attention.
Well, the thing is I feel like naturally I don't care about things for a certain, like for that long. Like I get over things and I don't like dwell on things. Like I move on. I'm an Aquarius. Like that's just how we are. Like we don't have the energy for it. But when I do, and I like actually really, really deep down think about it, like I'm not like, it's weird. I'm not like, oh my God, like fuck these bitches. It's not coming from like, I want to attack. It's just more like, I look within and I look at myself in the mirror. It's like I'm shadowing and I'm like, is what they're saying about me true? Because I don't feel that way, but now I'm being addressed this information. So like, I feel like I'm like battling how I actually feel and like what I know versus like what people are saying about me. So now I'm like, okay, hold on, like pull up the mirror. Like, am I? Like, why should I be confused in my own body when I know what I'm doing and what I'm thinking? But I'm suddenly having moments where I'm like, am I an escort? Does that make sense though? Like, I'm not an escort. I don't fuck anyone. I don't fuck for money. Like, it's not who I am. And to anyone who does do that, all the best. Don't judge you. I don't care. Get that bag. Like, I don't give a shit.
Right.
But like, I don't I think where it gets hard is like when people say things about you that are false. I don't want to be defensive about it, because like if I'm defensive about it, then it seems like I'm worried about it, and it's because it's what I actually think about myself, and it's not.
Right.
But like, I'm not gonna lie, when people talk, it makes you second guess everything always.
And it just makes you think of like, you know, like I said, for what I was getting at is like, because I don't get it that often, like people coming up to me and saying that, when it does happen and I do hear the things, like it blindsides me in a way, because I'm like, do people really believe this? And especially that I have we have a podcast, and I feel like I'm so real and I come on and I say everything, that for people to still turn around and say stuff that's so false, which look, I can't blame anyone. It is what it is. But it just comes as a shock of like, I literally sit here fucking every week and I'm so real, and yet you guys still turn around and say the most crazy shit about me when it's so easy to find out the truth. But the reality is like, the truth is boring. But one of the crazy things that happened to me was with the person I'm with now.
This is so crazy, this story, guys.
And what really bothers me is when I hear things that there's certain things that trigger me, okay? And one of them was said in this thing. So with the person that I'm with now, at the very beginning, we were on a date, and he had like mentioned that somebody had reached out to him about me. Well, about us actually, because I guess he had seen that like he met us and felt the need to send a voice note to the guy that I was on a date with, to send a voice note to him and basically say what he thought about us. And let me just make this clear. He's never met this guy before. They don't really know each other. It's just like an acquaintance, but he still felt the need to like go and tell him what he thought about us. Okay. So he sent him a voice note, and keep in mind, this was like one of our first dates. So like, obviously, this being said to you before you actually know someone is like so annoying, as the person being like, as it being about me. It's so frustrating that someone who doesn't know you yet is hearing this kind of information. That's the most
frustrating thing, because it's one thing when like you can have your opinion about someone, then someone comes and then you can decide how you want to act. But when you have no context, it's so easy to take someone's side because you don't actually know the person. Exactly. So what other than to believe than the only source you have?
Exactly. So basically he had sent him a voice note saying that, we're known in Montreal as like the sugar babies of Montreal. And, all we do is like take advantage of men, and we're like useless. And all we do, he basically had said like, so Easter is around the corner, and you know how we love to protect our little eggs from breaking. Right?
Yes.
Well, there's some other things that we protect from breaking. And there's some little balls that our men have. And we need to protect them, and we need to nourish them, and we also need to shave them, right?
We need to shave them because you can't paint the canvas that's full of hair.
And if we're going to be painting some little Easter eggs this year, you best believe they must be a smooth, soft canvas to start on. And you're going to have to start off your painting by going to manscaped.com and picking out any of their amazing products to keep you fresh, smooth, and your little Easter eggs all in one piece.
So my little Easter bunnies, you have to head on to Manscaped and use our discount code ChemicalX at checkout to receive 20% off anything on their website. So, we like a variety of Easter bunnies. So get the Manscaped, get the lawnmower, get it all, the weed whacker with Chemical X at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Mm-hmm. So, you can have all your eggs in one basket.
They're just like good for nothing girls that are bottle girls and take advantage of men. And this was sent actually before we had gone on our first date. And I only found out about it like later down the line. Obviously, he's not going to start off our first date with here's this shitty voice recording about you.
Yeah.
And I was so upset when I actually heard that. But I was really grateful that he obviously didn't listen to it. But I think in a way it probably, puts an alarm in your head of like, maybe I should, keep an eye out.
Yeah.
But just like the fact just the fact that somebody was saying this kind of shit, especially for two people that like we work so hard and people could say what they want, but it's like you can't deny that we do work our asses off, if not for the podcast but also just in our everyday lives. Like, for someone to just say, oh yeah, I'm just a bottle girl is like so insulting to me.
It's degrading.
It's degrading, and it's so insulting to me as someone who I work so hard and I take pride in my work and my jobs, and I literally work my ass off. For someone to tell me that is like the most degrading, most infuriating thing. And I think that's what upset me so bad.
But wait, I have a question. Okay, because obviously when you know like you work so hard, the more this shit comes, the less like we take it personal, because we're just like, whatever, you clearly don't do anything with your life and you have no idea what it is to even operate one of these kind of things. Like you know, you clearly have no idea. So do you think it makes you more mad at the idea of sit a day in my life, see what I do type thing? You wouldn't even last an hour. Or is it like, I almost lost the opportunity to like get to know someone, and I wonder how many people close their doors to me just because of what they thought about me? Which one do you think it is?
I think it's a bit of both. I also think it's a little bit of like, I don't know if selfishness is the word, but like ego blow to like be somebody who works hard, and I guess it's something that like I pride myself in. So when somebody degrades that and basically says that I do nothing with my life except be a bottle girl, which there's nothing wrong with just being a bottle girl, because I have done that in the past too, is just worked in a club. There's obviously nothing wrong with it, but it's just like when you do work so hard, it like kind of is a blow to the ego when you hear somebody just degrade you down to everything that you've worked so hard for, and say like, it's kind of like when you've achieved so much and people will be like, oh well, it's just because of your daddy's money or something like that. It's so frustrating for people to pin you down back to that one little thing that's so not you. And even though like you said, well, you know, you work hard, like you work hard, like you don't need somebody to tell you do. I think it still hurts in a way. And it also was at that time like, you know, this information is being told to somebody who actually doesn't really know me yet. And like, I could have lost the chance to get to know this person just because of this message. And guys, keep in mind, the message came from somebody I have never in my life, neither Alessia nor me have ever met in our life. I didn't even know who this person was. And for him to feel so entitled that he had to go out of his way to send a message to the guy that I was going on a date with.
Hey bro, get a life.
To send a message to him, to tell him all this shit unfucking provoked, is like so infuriating. And it makes me think like, had I not started dating this person, I would have never actually found out about this. Yeah. Right.
So how much goes on behind the scenes?
Exactly. It's like, I would have never in a million years known about this message. But so how much more of this is going on, and how much more of these people are saying this shit behind my back that I never have a chance to, in a way, defend myself or prove myself. Not that I need to.
Right.
But the reality is, what I think what upset me so bad about it is, the reality is like it's public information that I'm not just a bottle girl, that we're not just bottle girl, whatever, like you're not even a fucking bottle girl. Sorry that you got brought down with me.
Yeah.
But like, it's like public information that we do work hard. So for it to be something so easy to know, why is that the thing you're talking shit about? Like, I would be less mad if you're saying something that no one really knows, because then I would just be like, oh yeah, whatever, like you don't know anyways. But like the fact that it's so easy to find out that it's not what I do, like it's just like frustrating that people just pin you down to that. And it's also frustrating that you almost made me, I mean, thankfully, you know, this person still gave me the benefit of the doubt and still got to know me for me. But it's so frustrating, and in a way makes you feel like you need to prove that you're not that, right?
It's so crazy.
Like, it's like you're in this position after where you feel like you need to sell yourself, or like be so the opposite and be like, oh, no, I'm not that way, because this person is giving, before they even met you, already a preconceived notion of who you are.
Yeah. Do you think any guy who is grinding or working on their projects would take the time to send a voice note to somebody they don't know, to let them know
about
his
people
opinions,
they don't know?
literally
to a person you don't know about,
people about his opinion on us. Like, we must really make you so angry. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Is it because you're not the type of person we would ever date? Because you're a loser? Like, what is it? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
I actually have the right to call you a loser if you're going out of your way to do something like that. Like, it's actually so sad.
Well, I wish that I would prefer that it's someone who knows me talking shit about me rather than someone who's never met me in my life. Because if you've met me and you have your judgment on me, I actually like, you're more allowed, because you came to your own conclusion. You met me. You could say whatever you want to me. But if you never met me and you're going around saying shit about me like that, it's like, who the motherfuck are you to be saying this about me to somebody that I'm going on a date? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I think was so frustrating to me, that it was like obviously also an important person that this information is being told to. So like, it hurt even more that I was put in that position to almost like fight for myself and be like, and anyways, I was so angry. And I remember on the date, I was like trying to act super chill about it. I was like, yeah, wow, that's like lame that he did that. But I was like, let me listen again. And I was also like, can we send a message
play this
back?
voice note, fucking out him out.
Well, I was like, can I please send him a voice note back of me talking and being like, thank you so much for like giving him a little inside scoop.
And you know
of
what?
Like,
this guy would never, like, he must be so embarrassed now because he has no idea you guys are dating. He said it when there was no attachment.
There was nothing.
So like,
it's just too, it's going to be the
the
best.
minute like you guys would ever post or he would see something, like he would trip balls. Like he would be like, I think that's a perfect example of I'm going to shut my fucking mouth.
Yeah. Cause shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And anyways, it's just crazy how you don't realize how far people are willing to go to talk shit about you to anyone that will listen. Like that's literally the talk shit to anyone that will listen.
And you know what? The truth is like everyone kind of gossips, shit talks.
Guys, I love to gossip. Don't think that I can't sit here and love a good
we're not
gossip.
here saying like women, like we're two perfect people who don't gossip. Obviously we do, but I think it's just like the way you do it. Like we're not harmful when we do it.
Look, I love a good tea. Okay.
Yeah,
I love tea. I love hearing the gossip.
If you're a girl and you're sitting here, no, if you're a girl,
shut the fuck up. Guys love gossip.
If you're a girl or a guy, like, and you're gonna act like you didn't love hearing certainty, like, please, like, you're just lying and you're just not true to who you are.
Yeah.
Like, because that's just false.
I think everyone loves, a good little gossip. I think if you are known to be the gossip friend, if you cannot have a conversation that doesn't revolve around people, that's a fucking problem.
Or if you're happy when you hear gossip and it's bad news about somebody, that terrible. To me is like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. And I also think like if you're the type of person where you're like, I hate this person, so you need to hate them too, like also grow up. Like that for me is something that, and look, I think that every friend group has the different friends. I think you'll always have like the ride or die friend who like, you'll be like, oh, this is his new girlfriend. And they'll be like, that's the ugliest girl I ever met. And it's fucking Emirata. You know what I mean? Like you'll always have that friend. And then you'll have the other friend who will be like, oh, like she's pretty actually, like whatever. Like you have like the honest friend.
You have the friend who's going to be like, she's pretty, but God, he's never going to get over you.
Like you have your different friends for different reasons. And I think that's fine. But like if it's always toxic and it's always bringing people down, I don't know, like that's not it for me. And like I feel like everyone has their role. I feel like my role is I try to play the evenness around, like always see like the good in everything, always try to play the devil's advocate. And like every role always has its faults too. Like obviously it's not, sometimes people don't want to go to the person that's not going to take their side, right? They're going to want to go to the person who's going to fuel them.
So true.
Which is like fine. And I think that you need that in everyone. But if like you're constantly just like fueling like bad toxicity, like I don't think that's the best. I think sometimes it's okay for people to tell you either that you're wrong or either that they disagree with you or either that like, maybe what you're saying isn't true. Like I think it's good to have people that will like keep you on your shit.
And I think whenever something's happening in your life and you're feeling confused or people are saying things about you and you're having this like confusion as to like you knowing who you are, but then the world trying to tell you you're someone else. I think just literally sit on your bed and just be with yourself. Either journal. I started journaling and I'm like really into it now. But other than journaling, sometimes we like want to be with our friends. We want to gossip. We want to kind of figure out like we want our friends to hype us up and so that we can forget about like the shit that's being said. But sometimes I tell you like sitting alone is like the hardest thing when you're just like in your thoughts. But I'm telling you, like if you sit alone in your thoughts, you will get over it way quicker than you trying to get validation through like friends trying to make you feel better. Like if you actually sit in it, you'll literally overcome it so much quicker because you're not getting outside noise. You're not like, oh, but my friend told me this, so now like maybe is it that? And it's as much as it's great to get like friends' opinions, with certain things, it's also fine to just like sit in your thoughts and sometimes just come up with your own conclusion 100%. And just like sometimes no answer is an answer.
And I think also like thinking back as to why something affected you, like for example, like you saying like, oh, why did that affect you, that he said the job thing, and it's like the reality is, I had said this analogy one time in the past about how like if somebody comes up to you and says like, oh, your hair is purple, you're going to obviously not believe them because you know your hair is purple. And no matter how many times that person says your hair is purple, you confidently know that your hair is not purple.
Yeah, it's the things that you're not.
Yeah, it's the things you're not sure about. So like for me, you know, when it comes to the job thing, it's always something for me that it's like something, I guess in a way it's like not my insecurity, but
touchy.
It's a touchy subject for me because I work so hard, because I have this like personal thing for myself. It's a personal it's a personal thing on myself. So therefore when somebody attacks it because I feel like I'm not where I want to be, then I start over analyzing.
Then you start spiraling.
And like I think it's also important to be able to discipline ourselves and realize where the thought is coming from, and like, are we spiraling about this because it's a personal insecurity or because what they're saying is actually true, you know? Or is it only hurting us because it comes from an insecurity? It's the same thing when people, for example, like somebody will comment something about me and I know that it isn't true, it won't hurt me. But as soon as they pinpoint something that is already an insecurity of mine, suddenly then it feels 10 times worse and it feels way more real.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to like even assess why that the thing that they said is hurting you, and like if you're insecure about it, you know, if it's a quality of yours, maybe like, is it something that you're insecure about and you want to change about yourself, or you feel like maybe you haven't been the nicest, or maybe you've been something wrong. Like, are you going to use it to like better yourself, or is it strictly this information coming from a place that's just negative and it's just like not doing you any service by worrying about it?
Yeah,
you know,
on TikTok people have been like commenting about my lips, and I just don't see anything wrong with my lips, and I haven't touched them in a long time. I like to overline my lips a certain way. And when people were commenting like, oh my God, how many syringes does she have? I'm getting insecure because I'm like, I'm actually not injecting my lips. I did it twice in my life. I haven't touched them in like about 2 years, and I don't really plan on at the moment. And for me, it's like, I'm like, okay, I'm taking the more natural route, and I'm still getting bashed for being fake about something that I haven't been touching. So I'm like, it's like you literally never win.
You can never win.
If like I inject them, then I'm the girl who injects. If I don't inject them, then you should inject them. You'll never win if you keep thinking about other people and what they think.
And at the end of the day, like sometimes, obviously I know that my life would be easier and no one would hate on me if I lived that cookie cutter life of doing things by the book. But the reality
because
is
people would still hate on you.
Yeah, for sure.
On a smaller scale, but they would still hate on you.
Yeah. But it's like, you know, like I know that living the life that I live, it comes with a certain, you know, point of view on myself. And I understand that. And to a certain extent, I'm okay with that. And like, you know, I try to not think about it, but every once in a while it comes to my attention. You know, like there's certain things in my life that in the past I used to be so worried about. Like, for example, when I got my nose job, I was like in college at the time. So I was like, I guess freshly out of high school. And I was so worried about what people from high school were going to think because I knew it was going to be a big scandal. And I'm sure to this day, it's still fucking a scandal for them because there's nothing going on in that fucking city. You know what I mean? Like no one's done anything in that town. So they're still probably talking about the nose job that I got in fucking 2019. You know what I mean?
Right.
Probably wasn't even 2019, but whatever.
Right.
Just to say, it's like people will, and at the time I was so worried about it. But like I look back now and I'm like, I don't even care. Like I did something that made me happier as a person. Like I can't believe I even shed any sort of stress on what other people would think about this thing that I was doing for myself, you know? And like another time somebody had come up to me.
Me, that's another thing. Like in high school, like, I didn't get my nose done. I didn't do like, well, I want to say lip filler, but anyway, whatever. Like just anything that they haven't done, it's going to be weird to them. And it's going to be like, oh, Alessia, you changed. Yeah. Did I change or did you just stay the same person? Yeah. Like
100%. And like, did I change or did I just live my fucking life and you did not do anything? So now everything that I do is so scandalous.
Yeah. And I think another thing is like I switched schools. So I had like a group of friends and then I switched and was part of another group. And I think because I'm a social person, like, I still kept in touch. But like as life goes on, you obviously don't keep in touch with everyone. And like people who don't see you for a long time will be like, oh, well, you're living life. Like you changed, you this. But it's like it never took away from the person I was. Like, okay, everyone changes, but like I'm still kind of the same person. It's just because we don't keep in contact, and like you saw me a certain way that you feel like I've changed more than. But it's like that, even that, like the whole like you changed, but like you're not in my body, you're not me. Like, how do you know if I changed or not? Yeah. Like, what if now I'm just actually living my truth and back then I was just a little bit more shy? Yeah. You know, like to say someone changed when you're not actually them,
Right.
I find is also so degrading.
100%.
Like, it's like, how do you know though? And that's what gets me angry. It's like, and what really like fuels me. It's like, but you actually don't know me. Nobody knows anyone. Like, nobody knows anyone better than you know yourself. So,
and it's so crazy how people who used to know you feel really entitled to who you are. So for example, like a couple of months ago, I think it was a couple of months ago, this guy started spam commenting like hate on all of our like TikTok videos. And actually, I think it was my picture. And it was somebody that I had met a couple of times when I was younger, when I was like literally in my raving days doing drugs. Okay. So really not in a good place in my life. Mm-hmm. And he was commenting on all my stuff, basically saying how it was fake and like I was like a shallow human being and how much I've changed. And like all I'm doing is seeking validation. And like I'm a shell of a human of who I used to be. And I should be more like how I used to be. And I was like, first of all, you didn't even know me way back then. And I was absolutely fucking miserable when the few times you did meet me, when you met me. I was a miserable human being. I was literally a sad child. So for you to say that I've changed because I've actually grown into myself and proud of who I am, I have no problem with posting a picture of myself because I'm confident. Mm-hmm. I'm proud of who I am again. Yeah. For you to tell me that I'm shallow and have nothing going for myself and I should be more like who I used to be and no one's ever gonna date me, like all this, like I can't even remember what he had said.
Because he was doing drugs and people love to see people who are in the same place in their life. So if you were miserable and doing drugs while he was doing that, that gave him some kind of like validation that you guys were like the same. And then whenever someone grows up and they're no longer in that life or doing those things, then it makes them have to look within and be like, wow, like she moved on, she's in a better place and I'm still here. So instead of like trying to be a little bit more like her, let me just hate on her because it's 100%. Easier.
And it just, the funniest thing is you didn't know me back then and you definitely don't know me now. So for you to be saying all this stuff about who I am, and he was basically telling me that I was probably miserable and like I probably live a sad life. And I was just like, you don't even know me. And the fact that you feel so entitled to who I am as a person and think you know me so much is the most hilarious, delusional thing that I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. And he actually went and made 2 more fake accounts because I'd blocked him. Then he made another fake, like 2 more fake accounts just to keep commenting hate on my profile. And I was like, if anyone is living a sad life right now, it is you. So you want to tell me that I'm some shallow human being, I'm whatever you want to tell me, but you would never catch me in my fucking life making a fake account just to, even on a real account, even on any account, even just to hate on somebody. Mm-hmm. I would never go out of my way to hate on somebody like that. And it's just so funny that people feel the need of like, I met you a certain way, therefore you need to stay that way. And if you don't stay that way, then it's like, what have you become? I don't know you anymore.
I'm a true believer that you can have whatever it is you want. And if you want it bad enough, if you work hard enough, if you manifest enough, you can have whatever you want. So I'm really honestly a girl's girl. Like, I find it really, really sad when girls don't have each other's backs. Mm-hmm. Or I don't know. I just think like as women, especially, like there's something so powerful about literally being like we're all women. Like, let's just stick together. Like, why are we hating on each other because we chose a different path? Like, we're women. We should just support each other, whether it's something we'll do or we won't do, you know, like, I don't know. To me, it's just crazy that this is still going on. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's something that's like literally embedded into society and like just constantly women are always pitted against each other. So like, I'm not surprised that it happens. And I'm not surprised that women continue to do that because we're pitted against each other, we feel the need to compete and to win and to be better than the other. And when you feel like you're not better than the other person, what do? You bring them down and you make them worse in your mind. So like, I don't blame anyone for doing it, but I just think like you need to do a lot of work to come to a place where you can appreciate someone who's above you and not be threatened by them. Like, I don't look at people who are better than me and feel threatened because I feel like I could be there too. And I feel like I will be there. Yeah. So for me, it's like, it's motivating and it's exciting to see someone doing so well because it's like, I can't wait to be that person.
Literally same.
And like, unfortunately, I don't think that that's an experience that a lot of other people have. And like I wish that more people saw it that way, or I just wish that we were able to appreciate what other people were doing, even if we might not be there someday. I wish that people could look at someone else who has something better than them and be like, wow, that's amazing for you, even though I know I'll never be there one day. I'm so happy that
and
you could
I don't
have
want that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes people are also envious and they don't even want it. It's just because I don't know.
It's just weird. But I think it's important to like take accountability. And honestly, guys, I think depending on who you surround yourself, it can really put you in a mindset like that. And it's important to like have accountability and you know, take control over like what you're choosing to take part in. And if all your friend group is like shit talkers and negative and stuff like that, if it means like maybe distancing yourself from them, like if that's what it needs to be, because talking shit and gossiping about people all the time really does take a toll on your mental health and really puts you in a shitty place. And it starts to look, when you start judging everyone else like that, you also start judging yourself like that and just being really just mean in general to yourself, to people around you.
Yeah.
Even in the media, it's like, look at Hailey and Selena. You know what I mean? Like, when's the last time you saw two male celebrities being pinned against each other to that extent? Never. And we could look at, and I'm reciting basically a TikTok that I had seen, which was a genius TikTok. But basically like think about like Kanye West and Pete Davidson, you know, they had that whole feud where Kanye was literally threatening the safety of Pete Davidson fully, blatantly, not even subliminally. And yet no one came for either of them the same way that people are coming for Selena and coming for Hailey.
And you know what the thing is? Most of these people like never really looked into it like they're looking into it now. Hailey is obsessed with Justin now. Like that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
All over the media. Like it's an arranged marriage. He didn't partake in this. Like, why is the woman always being blamed? Like realistically, if Justin didn't want to marry her, like how can we blame it all on Hailey? You know what I mean? Like, okay, if she was being crazy and she was being like a stalker and she gave him no other choice, how can we say that falls all on Hailey? At the end of the day, like Justin still chose to marry her. So I love how women and women mostly will pin it always on the girl when it's like the man had just as much taken this as Hailey.
Yeah.
Like Justin has just as much take in the marriage that's 50-50 as Hailey. So the fact that everyone is coming at Hailey, whether she is a mean girl or not, just doesn't make sense. Like,
and it's also like I just can't stand this shit because it's like it's so based off of nothing and a bunch of nothing on top of nothing and comparing this to this and how this happened and this is a subliminal message. And I'm just like, you know what, like this is a part of the problem as to why women are always against each other, because we're constantly like putting up all this shit in the media of like this feud against this person and this person's shading this person and this is happening here, when like if you would try to dissect my life based off my Instagram pictures, I promise you would come to a million different conclusions and none of them are true. You know what I mean? Like I can make you believe anything with the right screenshots and the right timing and the right editing. Of course you can. So it's just like, why do we continue to feed the idea that like, I don't know. It bothers me when I constantly see people putting these feuds against women in the media. And I think like that again is just the root of like always continuing to fuel this like jealousy between women, this competition, this like, oh, well, she was better for him. And like, that shouldn't have been his wife. And just all this stuff. I mean, we see it all the time. We always see social media and the media itself painting women as these like catty, bitchy, manipulative people, when a lot of the time it's a lot of smoke and mirrors that's happening to make it seem that way, you know?
Yeah.
And like you said, I wish girls would just have each other's back a lot more. I wish there was less competition. I don't think it's that easy of a fix, but I think it's about doing your part little by little and just realizing that like, you know,
just like if you can find people that you surround yourself with that are not like that, then you'll live a more, I guess, naive, blissful life, because like the circle you're with is kind of what you're going to be feeding off of.
And I think even if you're just the person to start that, like eventually people are just not going to come to you to gossip anymore. And maybe you're not going to stop the gossiping. Maybe it's not going to make a change, but at least you don't need to experience it anymore, you know? And I think that's something that I've personally
saving your
done,
energy. Yeah.
Is like, you know, when I'm showing that I'm not necessarily the person you want to come to when you want to talk shit about someone, eventually you're going to probably stop coming to me to talk shit about someone. And then that's exactly what I want. I don't want you to come to me to talk shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be that person.
Yeah, I think that's where I struggle. Like, I'm still struggling with this. I have certain people in my life where like I don't trust them 100%, but they're in my life and I like them for X, Y, and Z. And it just makes it really hard sometimes when there is really good qualities about them. And I've always said here, like, not everyone you're friends with has to be your best friend. And not everyone, like, you can have friends where you trust with your life. And then other people, like I've said, that you wouldn't trust them with gossip, but you love other parts things of them. But I'm just finding it really hard as like years are going by to want to even like hang around people who there are certain things that I don't like agree with.
Yeah.
You know?
Which I get, because the older you get, for example, I guess this is for me, maybe it's for you too, but where I'm at now, it's like I'm actually so busy that like when I do choose to spend time with people, it's people that I genuinely want to spend time with.
Yeah.
And like I'm actually not gonna make time if I don't like really like you 100%. And if it's like there's something missing there, or like it's not really vibing, or like it's like this one little quality, I'm just like, you know what? I don't even have the time or energy to keep like keeping this alive if it's only for a small amount of time. I think when you have like when you're younger and you have so much time and you're always going out and like, you know, you could see all your friends and you could hang out all together. Like it doesn't matter as much. But I think the busier you get, the older you get, like you're a little more selective about people.
Yeah. And I think it's hard because sometimes we don't even accept the fact that we've changed.
Yeah.
Like there has been, you know, years maybe I would partake in it more or I'd be okay with it. And as the years go by, I'm realizing maybe it's just me who's changing, me who's not wanting part of that anymore. And it's really hard when someone has seen you in that light to understand that you're changing.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes distance is like the only way to do it, because how do you, it's hard with someone who's known you your whole life, you know, and like maybe you've partaked in it, and which is fine. Like life is all about like a learning curve and like going through shit. And
but it's fair. I mean, I think like it's the saying of like you are your environment, and I think what you surround yourself is what you're going to think is true. So obviously as you grow and as you learn and as you like discover the world, like your opinions change because you discover more and you see new things. So when people stay in that bubble, I mean, yeah, that's what they're going to see as the truth, because that's all they're ever going to surround themselves with, you know? And it's really hard for people that are in that environment to see outside of it. And I think as someone who goes outside of it and then comes back in, it's like, hey guys, by the way, all men don't cheat. But then like you look like the one that's wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It looks like you're the idiot. So it's kind of tricky in those situations when you share this like same value and then you
I don't even know if
change.
it's like a share,
Not a value,
it's
but
not
like
even like
a shared belief.
Because I would be in there and every time I could, I would be like, well, I'm really hopeful that, you know,
Right.
it's not all. But then it's like, it's easier said when you're single, right? But then
Yeah.
it's like somehow you feel even more attacked after when you're in a relationship. So
It's definitely tricky, and I think a lot of people deal with that where like they share this same belief or the same value or the same thing with their friends, and then one person changes and then suddenly you guys don't align anymore, and it just seems like, oh well, like, you know, there's like this conflict, and then as the person who no longer agrees, you feel kind of like an outcast in a way because you don't see eye to eye anymore.
Yeah.
And it feels
really hard to be fake and like to put yourself in situations where you just have to like stay quiet and not say anything, you know?
Especially something like that I feel like is a really, in a way, like negative way to live your life, like to believe. Like I personally never like to have those sort of like bad
like if I can choose to like not know or to just live a blissful life, like why am I already putting that energy in before even having met someone?
Yeah.
You know, it's like I already have to have this anxiety of feeling like my man is cheating and I don't even have my man. Like that's actually sad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, especially when you're single, you're like finally like I don't have to think about anybody else. I can fully focus on myself. But then the anxiety of feeling like everyone is saying that doesn't make me excited to want to get in a relationship, knowing that like that's going to be my next hurdle after, is having to like feel
right, like,
oh, now I got to hope that they don't.
Yeah.
Where it's like, does that make sense?
100%. And I I know somebody, like I used to be close with somebody who really had that mentality, and it was always in the mentality of like, well, everyone's going to cheat. So like, it's just about like if and how, and like it's just a fact that everyone's gonna cheat on you, so you just need to accept it, and like what are you gonna do with that information? And
but you know
I was
what?
but I was like, what the fuck are you settling for to already be telling yourself before you're with somebody that they are going to cheat on you, and that's what you're settling for? And I know that there's actually a lot of people that have that mentality, and I find it personally, my personal opinion,
I don't think everyone agrees with that. I think they put that out there to almost feel better.
I think it's
so they feel less like an idiot if it does happen to them.
I think it's a safety blanket.
It's a safety blanket
of like, if I do get cheated on, well, I knew it was coming, and like, who cares anyways? Because like, all men cheat,
and like, I'm not an idiot before it actually happened. So like, at least nobody thinks I'm naive.
And I think personally, it's a safety blanket. I think it actually comes out of insecurity that you might get cheated on, because I never in my life would go around saying I'm going to get cheated on and all men cheat. Like, that's the most bad juju ass fucking
and
bad
also,
manifestation
like, why would you
could
want to
ever
bring
do.
that energy into your life?
And then I just feel like going in with that energy, then you start acting in a shady way, because in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, he's probably cheating on me anyway, so I might as well just do this. And you're never taking your relationship as seriously as it should be, because in the back of your mind, you're always thinking, well, he's probably cheating on me, or he's going to cheat on me, so I'm not going to give my 100%. Because why would you give 100% to somebody who might one day cheat on you if that's your mentality?
It's like, imagine you thinking you're gonna die at some point, right? You just never know when your last day is. So what are you gonna live every single day in fear, not do anything because you might die? Or are you gonna just like enjoy life and like deal with that when it comes?
Yeah.
You know? Like, I don't know, like, why are we, it's just like negativity for nothing. So yeah, that's just like one example that I'm really feeling with like certain friends I hang out with, that I'm like, I'm having a little bit of the ick, and I'm like, I'm trying to navigate all that, but I talked to you about it, but yeah.
I think it's also like depending on like where you're at in your life too, like certain things start to bother you, like when it starts to become like an important part, like let's say now it's like you're dating, so like now it's like actually a topic that's relevant, you know, then it starts to feel a little more touchy, and like I totally get that, like, and I would feel the same way, and I personally I hate that kind of negativity, and I've always like never liked that kind of vibes, because it just for me is like, and I've always said that like people who have those negative ideas of relationships have never truly been in love. And I know that that's like a really deep thing to say, and I know that it comes from a different place for everyone, but if you have this like every guy is going to cheat on you mentality, it's like, well, you've never felt true love, because you wouldn't be wanting to say that with somebody that you're truly in love with and you truly trust, and isn't that what everybody wants, is someone they could truly love and trust? I guess it just depends what you want out of a relationship.
Well, guys,
don't talk shit.
Literally.
I mean, the reality is, and we always say this, like if somebody's talking about you, you're probably doing something right. And you know what? It is what it is. I think that especially in the field we're in, where we do this so people talk and communicate and listen and are entertained. And like, if that's what it's going to be, then that's what it's going to be. And if you don't take the time to get to know me, then that's not on me. That's on you. So if you want to talk shit about me and have a certain idea of me, go right ahead. I know my truth. I know who I am. And like, to the people who will take that to heart and not get to know me because they've heard something, then like, you're not somebody that I want to have in my life anyways, clearly.
You guys probably heard me say this, like having certain people in your life that you can't fully trust, but like, there's certain things that you enjoy about them. Like, even that gets really hard and complicated, because when your circle's tight and you really want to be able to fully be yourself, it's really, really, really hard when you got to remember what you can and can't say, and like what you tell one person versus another. Like, it just feels like you can't live an authentic life. So yeah.
And then it's a struggle for even the people in the friend group when it starts being like, hey, I'm telling you this, but don't tell this person. And
anyways, guys, before we end this podcast, we want to remind you to not only like, follow, and subscribe, but head on to Chemical X Podcast and get yourself some merch. Our hats are so nice. They're embroidered. They say barely rich, almost famous. Go buy one. We have a baseball cap, and then we have 2 trucker caps.
ChemicalXPodcast.com. And we'll see you next week.